The Franchise Association of South Africa has called for government to put an end to rolling blackouts and urged them to deal with issues of national security. Fred Makgato, who is the association's CEO, joins me now. Fred, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Just describe the current operating environment in South Africa for small and medium business owners.
The situation is very difficult. We find ourselves in areas that we have never thought we will be, as we were hopeful that coming out of COVID, the situation will improve. However, we are now hit by another pandemic. I think this should be a pandemic because load shedding seems to be worse than COVID-19 in that businesses that were hopeful, especially small businesses, that they will be able to trade. Now they're being taken back to closing their doors. They are being forced. There are no alternatives, and there are no options. So I think that we find ourselves in a very difficult situation that we have never thought would be in 2023.
Okay. How does the franchising industry contribute to GDP, and what's the impact in the future for economic growth if the situation continues?
If you look at the contribution by the franchise industry to the GDP, 14.5%. This is not a small contribution. 745 billion, plus minus 300 jobs. I think this is where government should actually play an important role. We have heard in the past that government is looking at using SMEs to grow the economy. But what we are seeing happening in terms of load shedding, those attempts that are made by businesses on their own are being eroded. And I think this is where the focus should actually be. But we don't see much attention, we don't see much activity from the government side trying to protect this sector.
When you say that government has had an inadequate response compared to your members, just give me concrete examples of that and why you feel that that's not the case.
We've been calling on government since load shedding started, and our efforts were much intensified in 2022, where we said to government, let us engage and come up with solutions that could actually help small businesses. What we saw a master plan for small businesses, and we said, but those are not urgent in nature, so we need measures that will open up the space for businesses to be able to trade. And now we find ourselves in a situation where there are no options. If you look at the issue of the inverters, they are expensive and they don't operate businesses that work with heavy electricity equipment. If you look at the generators, it's a cost to operations. You still have to buy diesel almost on a daily basis, which is not cheap. So one will have thought that by the time we are here, government will have engaged ESCOM to look at this specific issue that energy is critical to business operations.
What are you as the industry doing outside of those measures you've spoken about to mitigate the multiple crises that we're facing? And then what happens if urgent action isn't taken?
What we need to do as the association and the industry at large is to look at how best can we get those who can use the generators to continue to operate. And that is why we are saying we should see some measures like the ones that we saw in during COVID, where government was able to come up with a relief of 350. So we should be innovative enough to come up with relief measures that could actually help small businesses.
Fred Makgato.
And what we are saying is that government could actually do the same, where they come up with funding of some sort to cushion the damage that is caused to small businesses. Yes, you can have the inverters, you can have the generators, but they don't trade full day. They still trade half days.
Fred Makgato, the CEO of the Franchising Association of South Africa, thanks so much for your time on SABC News on SME On Point.